Love is supposed to be built on a foundation of trust, but what happens when that trust is broken? In today's story, we'll step into a whirlwind of emotions where lies and betrayal blur the lines between love and deceit. With every twist, the characters are forced to face painful truths, and the question arises, can love truly survive when it's built on a lie? Stay with us as we unfold this powerful story, one that will make you reflect on the true meaning of loyalty and honesty in relationships. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment to let us know your thoughts. I'm Alex, and I'm currently 27 years old. Although this all began when I was 21, I never expected that someone I believed to know better than anyone could cause my family to disintegrate so abruptly and violently. I swear to God that my sister, Mia, knew exactly what she was doing, even though she was only 19 when the chain of evil started. Mia has always been strange, and I hate to say this about my own blood and flesh. In addition to being cunning and manipulative, she knew she could get away with anything. When we were kids, our house was complex. It's full of cracks, but not precisely broken. Lydia, my mother, was the type of person who would shout at us in private yet smile at neighbors. My dad, on the other hand, was a ghost with a job. He was constantly working, always worn out, and never truly present. So Mia and I were left alone together. There was an odd connection between Mia and me. I was the quieter, more responsible elder brother who always cleaned up after her. What about Mia? The princess was her, gorgeous, endearing, and quite skilled at portraying the naive. Everyone loved her, including the lads, the neighbors, and the teachers. However, I was aware. I would watch as she would give Mom a charming grin before stealing her credit card and lying about it. Or how, despite the proof being in plain sight, she would cry when she was about to be punished in order to avoid punishment. And I nearly thought she was sorry when she gave me that look with those large, phony eyes. I still loved her, though. She was my younger sister. I assumed she would get over it. At 19, we all make stupid decisions, don't we? However, what Mia did, no, you can't grow out of that. It began quietly. After completing my degree, I had recently returned home and was attempting to determine my next course of action. Mia was still a community college student, switching majors, making out with teachers, and acting as though she was the center of the universe. She was pampered by Mom, as usual. Dad didn't leave his world. The day finally arrived when everything fell apart. My head was pounding from the typical post-interview nervousness as I arrived home late from a job interview. I recall that the home was strangely quiet, almost like the stillness before a storm. When I entered the kitchen, I saw Mom beside Mia, her face as pale as death, and Mia at the table, her hands shaking and her eyes red. What took place? With a sinking stomach, I asked. Mia avoided eye contact. She merely muttered, "I apologize." Mom fixed her blazingly angry gaze on me. "Alex, we must speak. Right now." I was broken by what happened next. Mia reported my assault to her parents. Take a moment to process that. The saddest part is that my own sister accused me, her brother, of doing something so disgusting and unimaginable. I had never heard a more persuasive voice than hers when she stated it. She was crying, trembling, and acting like she was a natural victim. I froze. I was unable to breathe or talk. "Why?" yelled my mind. However, my mouth was unable to produce the words. Dad remained silent. He simply walked out of the room, ignoring me. Mom, she gave me a slap. Hard. She said that she was always aware of my problems and that I was obsessed with Mia. I chuckled. In fact, I laughed. In that moment of total madness, it was the only thing I could do. "What the hell are you talking about, Mia?" I asked. She didn't even flinch, though. Simply gave me that same phony expression of despair. "What's the worst thing, you ask?" No police report was found. No trip to the hospital. No official charge, only murmurs. Inside this house, there's just enough poison to ruin me. And it was successful. That night, I was told to go. Without saying anything, my father pushed an old duffel bag at me. My mother avoided making eye contact with me. What about Mia? As I left, she sobbed and gave my mom a hug, acting like the victim. I refrained from fighting. I was unable to. I could have lost control if I had stayed. So I went out. I didn't go to a friend's house, a motel, or basically anywhere else after I left that evening. All I did was drive. No specific location. I was trying to understand what the hell had occurred, and my head was a complete jumble. How did I become ostracized, like a predator, after being the responsible older brother? I recall whitened knuckles from holding on to the driving wheel so tightly. I haven't cried yet. I simply kept driving till the gaslight came on. For the first several nights, I slept in my car, which I parked behind this 24-hour supermarket on the outskirts of town. My new home consisted of stale air, cold metal, and the subtle scent of onion rings from the diner across the street. The stillness was most painful. It isn't until you leave a house that you notice how noisy it is. Not even the phony ones, like footsteps over your head, microwave beeping, or your sister's snarky good morning. It felt as if it had been deleted. During the first few days, I didn't speak to anyone. No calls, no texts. I made no attempt to contact my parents. What was the purpose? They had already decided. I sensed it, as if a rope had broken in the middle, and there was no sturdy knot to secure it back together. After a while, my cousin Jess texted me. Only a single line. What the fuck happened? Your mother has been telling everyone that you're mentally ill. For 10 minutes, I gazed at that message. I considered responding. Yes, I did. But in a few words. How in the world do you convey anything like that? I was clueless as to why Mia had done it. What was the reason? Retaliation? Do you notice? Are you bored? I reviewed all of our prior conversations and memories, yet nothing caught my attention. It didn't add up, unless, well, perhaps it had nothing to do with me. A few days later, when I was sitting in my car and observing the skyscrapers as the sunrise crept over them, it finally hit me. Something came back to me. I saw Mia slipping in via the back door at 3 a.m, 2 weeks prior to her accusation. Her dress was wrinkled, her heels were in her hand, and her makeup was stained. She froze for a half second when I asked where she had been. Then he added, "None of your business," grinning. I ignored it, didn't inform Mom, didn't exert pressure. Perhaps, though, someone else had noticed. Perhaps she didn't want to talk about what had transpired that evening. And what better method than to start a larger scandal to divert everyone's attention? Making an inexcusable accusation against your own brother? It's nuclear. This type of bomb destroys everything in its path. When your whole family is falling apart, who is going to inquire where you were on Friday night? I still lacked evidence, just gut feelings. And when your name has already been tarnished, those don't really matter. When Jess asked if I wanted to crash at her apartment, I finally texted her back to let her know I was okay and was just taking some time. No, I replied. The idea of repeating everything, or worse, witnessing sympathy in her eyes, was too much for me to handle. Weeks passed. On the opposite side of town, I got a job stocking shelves at a dollar store. I continued going, because moving meant not thinking, even though it paid like shit. However, a month or two after I was expelled, I met someone who completely transformed my life. Marcy was her name. She was only a year older than me, sharp-eyed, exhausted but kind, and she worked at the gas station next to the store. Occasionally, when I went to get some food or smokes, we would strike up a conversation. I must have looked particularly rough one night because she said, "You okay, man? You appear to have been struck by life twice." I made an effort to laugh it off. She didn't drop it, though. "You're sleeping in the back of that car?" she inquired. I paused. Then he gave a nod. Marcy did not recoil. My shift ends in an hour, she remarked, passing me a meal. Until then, stay warm. Since everything went awry, that was the first genuine gesture of kindness I had experienced. She made no inquiries. I wasn't treated like a freak by her. Simply put, human. We began conversing more after that evening. Genuine discussions. She told me about her dysfunctional family, including her brother's imprisonment for a crime he didn't commit, and her mother's continued insistence that he wasn't guilty. She once quipped, "Families suck. They can destroy you even if they love you." I gave a nod. I was all too familiar with that. At some point, I told her everything. Every repulsive, perplexing, angry detail of the Mia scenario. She didn't respond as I had anticipated. Not a single gasp. "Don't judge. She's lying," she murmured, simply sitting there with her eyes fixed on mine. I blinked. "You think I'm telling the truth?" she responded. "Of course I do. That girl sounds like she has a control addiction. She cut you out because she thought you threatened her story." Quick and clean. Her statements made sense. Therefore, they struck me like a sledgehammer. It makes more sense than anything I could have thought of myself. That evening, I made a decision. I was no longer going to be the victim. I wasn't going to give Mia the advantage. I had no desire for vengeance. I desired the truth. I desired to regain my name. And above all, I wanted to know why. The reason behind her actions. What made her lie? Why she grinned amidst the ashes after burning everything to the ground. I therefore devised a strategy. And returning home was the first step. It was not something I did lightly to return home. My entire being begged me not to. The shame, the betrayal, and the memories all weighed heavily on my chest. However, I required resolution. I required clarification. And I had to walk right back into the fire if I wanted the truth. Marcy believed me to be crazy. She gripped my wrist and said, "Alex, what if they call the police on you?" The worst case scenario is that she spins something new as soon as she sees you. Indeed, that seemed feasible, so I nodded. When the one with the matches was not afraid of fire, anything was possible. However, I revealed to her something that I had not yet spoken out to anyone, not even to myself. If I don't face it, I can't heal. So I went, but not unprepared. As soon as I stopped on the curb outside the house, my phone was ready to record. I was not going to take any chances. For a minute, all I could do was stare at the entrance I used to enter each day. It's funny how a location you used to call home can suddenly appear to be a trap. I rapped once. No response. Twice. Then, footsteps. Slow. Heavy. She was there when the door creaked open. Mom, Lydia. For a moment, I thought she was scared as her eyes tightened. She soon covered it up with something cooler, though. "Why are you in this place?" she inquired. I cleared my throat. "I simply want to speak," she said. "You shouldn't be here." But she left the door open. I muttered, "I need to talk to Mia." She became pretty rigid at that point. "She isn't here," Mom stated bluntly. "Untruthful," she added in a strained voice. "She moved out a few weeks ago." I blinked. I had no intention of doing it. Had Mia left home? Where? Why? What made her go? I asked in a composed tone. My mother yelled. "She needed space. And after what you did," I interrupted, a bit harsher than I intended to. "I didn't do anything." She winced. Only a flicker. However, I did see it. I inhaled. "Look, I don't give a damn if you still believe me. All I want is the truth." The mask dropped for an instant. Something was behind her eyes. Feeling sorry? Uncertainty? She shook her head, though. "Go, Alex. You are not welcome in this place." I gave one nod. No rage. Don't yell. Simply silent resignation. All right. With my heart thumping like a dread drum, I turned and headed back to my car. Mia had therefore gone. It was a huge thing. The Queen's castle was deserted. I returned to Marcy's house and told her everything. Yes, I did start living with her. For hours, we sat there reviewing theories and assembling timelines. The numbers didn't add up. Why depart immediately following my departure? Why abruptly leave the throne she had established? Then it dawned on me. Perhaps Mia wasn't merely hiding something. Perhaps someone else was aware of her actions. Perhaps she no longer felt secure. Marcy had a crazy thought. With her eyes flaming, she leaned forward and asked, "What if someone called her out? Someone else than you? What if she lied to someone else and they didn't keep quiet about it?" That notion was like a splinter stuck in my brain. I began to make contact, silently. I sent messages to a few of Mia's former classmates. Most of them abandoned me. At last, one of them, Emily, answered. She wrote, "I can't say much, but Mia isn't doing well." Things emerged. Some facts were revealed by her ex. If I were you, I would keep a safe distance. Bingo. I dug with Marcy's help. After several nights, some online research, and one anonymous tip, we were able to identify him as James, Mia's ex. She was dating this guy when she accused me. And you know what? A month prior, he had shared a mysterious tweet that said, "It's funny that the most skilled liars cry the loudest." With my heart pounding, I messaged him. Didn't anticipate a response. However, he did. He remained silent. Only this, "Come see me. Coffee shop on the 9th, 6 p.m. tomorrow. No police." Not a drama. I arrived early and waited for a damn spy by sitting in the corner. I knew James as soon as he entered, tall and slender, yet with that eerie expression that individuals get after enduring something they can't quite comprehend. He did not give me a handshake. "I know what she did to you," he replied simply after sitting down. I blinked. How? Because she attempted to harm me as well. I felt sick to my stomach. James filled me in on everything. The evening when Mia said I had beaten her, he had been with her. He had photos, communications, everything. She was secretly dating him behind our parents' backs. But she changed the subject when she became concerned that he may reveal their connection, warned him to keep silent, or she would ruin his life. She claimed to have done it previously. He didn't think she was real until she actually did that to me. He was so afraid that he didn't come out at the time. Additionally, Mia had dirt on him from his younger, foolish, and easily influenced days. He thus vanished from her life, became dark, up until recently. "After what she did to you, I couldn't sleep," he whispered softly. I had to say something. I knew. I wasn't sure if I should hit a wall or thank him. "Rather," I inquired, "will you assist me in clearing my name?" James gave me a stern look. Yes. Suddenly, the game was different. I had someone who saw. I had proof. I had an opportunity. However, I secretly still didn't grasp a single concept. Why? Why go that far? Why ruin your own brother? I got the answer from James, the one for which I was unprepared. "Dude, she was envious of you, how you were admired by others, particularly your parents. She could never live up to the standard you set." After a moment, he said, "So she destroyed it." I didn't get any sleep that evening. Not even a moment. Like a skipping record, James's words kept repeating in my mind. "She felt jealous of you." It was 3 words that shattered everything. I always considered myself to be the big brother, the rock underfoot, the guardian, the role model. I never imagined that she would perceive a threat in me. I never imagined that she would despise me for something I was unaware I possessed. Here we were now. My name is in the ground, me. She vanished. Not for long, though. James consented to compose a declaration. He included screenshots that showed the facts, including timestamps, messages, and images. What did Mia say about me? A falsehood. Everything. That night, she wasn't at home. She was with him. She didn't feel afraid. She was in hiding. I printed all of the supporting documentation. I had truth in a folder. What I would do with it was still a mystery to me. Marcy declared, "We go public." "For example, on the internet?" I inquired. "It's the only way to make noise," she said, nodding. "You will have to wait a lifetime for your parents to acknowledge their mistakes." Perhaps she was correct. However, they were still my family. I couldn't simply set the bridge on fire. I still had that stupid, hurting part of me that wished they would wake up, that wished for them to see me once more. I made the decision to give it one last go. I gave my father a call. The third ring caught his attention. He sounded worn out, chilly. "Alex, what do you want?" "5 minutes, please, please." A long silence. "Next, stop by tomorrow, 4:00 p.m. That is all you receive." Before my heart could shatter once more, I hung up. I informed Marcy that I had to go alone even though she didn't want me to. I had to complete this task in person. I got ready, carried the folder under my arm, and rang the doorbell of the house where I grew up, as if it were a stranger's. Dad pulled it open. I had forgotten how dark his eyes were. Not upset. Simply empty. The living room was where we sat. The same old couch, the same coffee table. But something didn't feel quite right. Like a duplicate of the real thing. I gave the packet to him. "What is this?" He flipped it open and asked. "Prove that I didn't do what Mia said," I said. Slowly he turned the pages. I observed his eye movements as he skimmed over the screenshots, James's statement, and the communication logs. Once, as if something were stuck in his throat, he swallowed and blinked hard. As he raised his head again, I prepared myself. He remained silent. Don't apologize. No surprise. Simply put, "Why didn't you inform us sooner?" It nearly made me chuckle. "Did you think I was real?" "Quiet." He shut the folder, leaned back. He rubbed his temples as if he had a headache. "You must comprehend when a daughter says something like that," he said in a hushed voice. "No," I interrupted. "You must comprehend." Without asking me a question, you threw me out, not even allowing me to talk. Because it was simpler than thinking she could lie, you sentenced me to death. His expression stiffened, and I knew that this was not going to go as planned. He refused to give me a hug. He had no intention of pleading for forgiveness. He intended to sit there and seem as though he had nothing to do with this. I got to my feet. I said, "I'm done waiting for you to be the dad I needed, but I'm not angry anymore." I then left. Marcy was pacing when I returned to her place. She paused when she noticed my face. "He did not apologize, did he?" "Nope." She let out a sigh. "Now what?" I got my laptop open, signed in, uploaded everything to Reddit, including the folder, James's declaration, Mia's fabrications, and the entire fucking tale. No names, no personal information, just the facts, exposed to the world. It blew up in an hour. People were incredulous. Some showed empathy. People were angry on my behalf. I didn't care that some trolls branded it false, because those who were important knew. My cousins, my former pals. School personnel. They witnessed it, and the tide turned gently. The texts began to come in. "I apologize for not getting in touch with you sooner. I didn't think she was real. You weren't worthy of that." Jess even sent me a message. "Mom is going crazy. You posted something on Facebook. Everyone is conversing. Excellent. Let them speak." Retaliation was no longer the focus. It has to do with reclamation, restoring the version of myself that Mia attempted to destroy. I received a call a few days later, blocked phone number. I nearly didn't respond. However, I did. She was the one. Mia. She spoke in a little voice, shaky. "What made you do it?" With hardly more than a whisper, she asked, I took a while to reply. I lost everything, she added. Mom won't even speak to me about my pals or my career. I said nothing. Finally, I replied, good. She gave a sniff. You're not understanding. With words that sliced like glass, I yelled, no, you don't understand. You didn't just lie. I was ruined by you. I slept in my car because of you. People stared at me like I was a monster because of you. You were aware that I did nothing. You were aware the entire time. That's when she broke, began to cry. Perhaps for the first time in her life, she shed actual tears. I experienced no emotions, not hatred, not sympathy, nothing at all. She apologized, saying, I had no idea what else to do. I said, you never think past yourself, and that's your problem. I then hung up. Marcy and I watched the sky become purple and gold as we sat on the back steps of her apartment that evening. Are you all right? She inquired. I gave a nod. I was there for the first time in months. Everything slowed down after that final call with Mia. No fireworks, no dramatic altercation, simply silence, the kind that lingers after a storm has passed and nothing is left but rubble. Her number was not blocked by me. I didn't have to. She didn't give another call. My parents also didn't get in touch. That had a peculiar sense of peace, as if, after spending months beneath water, I had finally quit holding my breath. I had had enough of waiting for an apology. I wasn't chasing anything, and I wasn't expecting someone to knock on my door crying and saying, I'm so sorry. I would let it go. The way mourning works is funny. You don't get hit with it all at once. It slowly seeps in. On certain evenings, I would gaze at the ceiling while recalling movie nights, birthdays, and Dad throwing the football in the yard. Every small detail. The version of my family that I had grown up loving was no longer there. Most likely, it never did. However, I wasn't upset. No more. Because I finally grasped something. My family wasn't destroyed by Mia. What was already broken, she showed. Because it was simpler, they decided to believe her falsehood. Because they avoided looking in the mirror by portraying me as the bad guy. People will also believe anything that makes them feel safe, even if it is based on devastation, when they are afraid to confront themselves. It was Marcy who assisted me in rebuilding. She provided me room to breathe, rather than just a place to crash, to be alive, to experience emotion once more. On certain evenings, we would sit outdoors in our sweatpants, sipping inexpensive wine and discussing everything and nothing. Have you ever considered forgiving them? She once inquired. I considered it. I replied, I don't know. But I know I won't let them define me. And it was sufficient. A few weeks later, James got in touch. He had witnessed the viral Reddit post, the outpouring of support, and the story's growth. He claimed that it gave him the confidence to tell his own family the truth. As it happens, Mia had also attempted to change his universe, but he intervened before things got out of hand. He apologized to me for not speaking out sooner. I acknowledged that you were afraid. He answered, we both were, but not anymore. That had significance. I began reassembling things in the months that followed. I got a job that I truly enjoyed, began treatment, even joined a support group, which included others who had been deceived, excluded, and deceived by the individuals they trusted the most. I wasn't alone myself. That was more helpful than I had anticipated. The most insane thing. The Reddit thread continued to gain popularity. I received messages from people all around the world. Some merely wanted to express their belief in me. Others related how trustworthy individuals, such as sisters, brothers, or cousins, completely changed their lives. As it happens, the closet isn't necessarily where the monster resides. It occasionally smiles as if nothing is wrong while sitting at your dinner table. The folder is still with me. Every piece of evidence. It's a part of my story now, not because I anticipate needing it again. A portion of the scar. Furthermore, scars indicate that you survived, not that you are weak. I returned to the old house one day, not to argue with anyone, merely to observe. It was deserted. Outside, there is a for sale sign, overgrown grass, and faded paint. The ideal metaphor. A house filled with lies that previously contained memories. For a long time, I stood there, not depressed. Don't be angry, just tranquility. Miss S. Whitaker, a neighbor, came out and waved before I turned to go. Her voice was low as she said, "I heard what happened. I've always felt that something wasn't quite right. I'm happy the truth was revealed." I nodded, thanked her, and turned to leave. I only needed that. There are those who never turn around. However, I believe that sometimes you have to realize how far you've come, not to dwell on the past. Mia is not missed. Not at all. I miss the her I believed to be real. During storms, the younger sister would climb into my bed. Before school, the child asked me to braid her hair. Long ago, that girl vanished, and someone I'll never comprehend took her place. And that's all right. So I'm no longer attempting to fix her. All I'm trying to do is survive. I am too. I wake up every day with the knowledge that I have accomplished something that most people wouldn't believe until they read it online. However, it did occur. I experienced it firsthand. Yes, I had scars, but I was stronger when I emerged from the experience. Therefore, if you're reading this and someone has attempted to change your tale, don't allow them to. Stand up for what you believe, even if you are initially not believed by anyone, particularly at that time, because the individuals who are meant to love you the greatest may not always do so. But those who decide to remain, the people who see you drowning and yet try to help, your true family is those people, and it's worth clinging to that type.